Now you really have to make it.
So, hi, I'm Blasty, and this is my talk for hacking the random 2600 ml data box, which is called Bag of Tricks. So, first of all, who the fuck am I? Some people in here might know me from various communities, or the internet, or just IRC places in general. But I think it might help if I just drop some names here, and you might be able to recognize some of this. So, I'm part of Team Tweezers, which are the people that initially hacked Nintendo Wii, which is a little white box game console by Nintendo, in case you're not familiar with the Nintendo Wii.
You're just living under
So for Nintendo Wii, we made this thing called the Homebrew channel, which is basically a little bundle of an exploit and an installer to get your own code running on Nintendo Wii. After that, we thought it might be a good idea to have some kind of fail-safe mechanism to, you know, recover your Wii in any case if you screw something up, mess with the firmware files or whatever. So we made this thing called BootMe, which is a bootloader replacement for Nintendo Wii. So basically, you install this on your Wii, and it will allow you to recover at any time, no matter what happens. And after this, well, I worked on this thing called Letter Bomb. So the thing is, in order to hack your Wii, you always needed a specific game. This is annoying because you just bought the Wii, which is like 200 euros, or we just had a recent price drop, it's actually 150 now. And then you had to buy a game for 60 euros in order to, you know, export your Wii and get your own code running. So what we did is we found a flaw in the message board system of the Wii. You can send email messages from one Wii to another using a unique email address. So there's some buffer overflow there, and we can leverage this functionality to get our installer running again and install the homebrew channel. So we set up this little web page called please.hackme.com, and you just surf there, enter your Wii's MAC address, and you click the button, and it will give you back a file. You drop it on an SD card, copy it over to your Wii, and when you go to the message board, there will be a little bomb icon, and you click it, and it will start the installer. So that's that. I'm also part of Fail Overflow, which is mostly famous for breaking the PlayStation 3 security. We presented about this last year at CCC. And after that, we had some legal issues with Sony Computer Entertainment of America, but luckily most of us are in Europe, so most of us weren't affected. There was actually one guy who almost got taken to court, but well, let's say they settled and things got smoothed out and it's quiet again. I'm also known from well, hackingthebox.nl, where I helped out with capture the flag games. So we make various puzzles for these little hacking teams to focus on doing the capture the flag contest together with Dipswitch, Dr. Wax, where is he? Dr. Wax. And when I'm not busy with all that stuff, I also like to play CTF myself. I do this with the Dutch team called the Eindbazen, which basically means final bosses. So some stupid joke, and that can go on. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so what the fuck will I be talking about today? Bag of tricks, random stuff, really. I wasn't really sure what the audience would be, so whether I should make it really in-depth and technical or more on the surface. So I think I found a nice way in between, I hope. It shouldn't be too dry and boring, but maybe it is to some of you. I'm sorry for that in advance. It is in no way groundbreaking. This, well, maybe some of it is. We'll see. So let's start off. Messing around with mobile APIs. But first, groceries. So let me give you a little backstory here. What made me dive into all of this. So at work we have a lot of people who are hungry and thirsty all the time. So we need groceries, right? Management got tired of taking care of inventorizing all the groceries and keeping track of all the bills and the separate bank account that's set up for the groceries. So they carried it over to us, the employees. So we're in charge now of figuring out who wants to eat what and who wants to drink what. This is an annoying process, and someone said, well, wouldn't it be funny if the grocery store we shop at Albert Heijn had their own API? Like that we could talk to their API and get back the products and the prices and sort it out, mix matches a bit. But unfortunately they don't. But then we got thinking a bit. They have this mobile application for Android and iPhone called API. And this application allows you to browse through the products, make your own shopping list, keep track of what you purchased using your bonus card, all kinds of stuff. So we thought, wouldn't it be funny if we take apart this mobile application, figure out how it talks over the internet to the Albert Heijn servers, and re-implement this logic in our own library or client in order to talk to this API. So the goal here is understand how the API for the mobile application works. After that, we will of course want to interact with the API and maybe just do legit API calls, or if you want, you could mess around with the API parameters and maybe find some bugs or whatever, and well, profit. So our options are: there was an iPhone application, an Android application, so we could go down the route of disassembling the Objective-C code for iPhone, which I don't know if any of you have ever disassembled Objective-C code. It's a really annoying process and doesn't give you very readable disassembly listings. So the other option was decompiling the Android application, which is all Java stuff using a known VM made by Google that uses the Dolphin opcode, etc., etc. People have made tools for this. You can basically go from an APK file back to readable Java code. This seems like a feasible option, but it's boring, right? We don't want to reverse a lot of code, figure out a lot of stuff. It would be much easier if you could just look at the traffic. It's a universal method. It's not tied to Android or iPhone. It will work with anything. So, some assumptions. 99 out of 100 APIs use HTTP as a way of, well, they're hosting on HTTP. But any serious API will use HTTPS. So this is kind of a problem because all traffic is encrypted, it's SSL, blah blah blah, difficult stuff. So, first step we did was, well, let's set up our own certificate authority. So anyway, HTTPS, SSL, this is boring stuff, right? Nobody wants to dive into the gritty, nitty details of all this protocol stuff, and nobody likes it. So what I did was I googled around a bit, googling for SSL man-in-the-middle attacks, and it was all complicated with some Java applications, and didn't quite like it. And eventually I stumbled across this little script. You basically run it like that, and you give it the domain name you want to fake an SSL connection for. So in our case, this is ms.aa.nl, with AH stands for Albert Heijn, by the way. So what we do is we generate our own pair of certificates, and then on the target device, we, of course, when it tries to resolve ms.blah.nl, it will get the real IP address of the box, so this is no good, because it will still connect to the old host. So what we do is, on iPhone this is pretty trivial. If you have a jailbroken iPhone, you can just SSH in, edit the host file. But of course you could also set up your own DNS server, point your phone to use that DNS server, and then resolve the host you want to spoof to IP address of your own box. So now what? There's this cool tool called S-Tunnel, and well, it can do a lot of stuff. But here we use it to set up a man-in-the-middle SSL. So the script we ran in the previous slide will spit out a bunch of certificate files, amongst which is master.pem. So we tell external to use that, port 443, local port 8080. Then we start another instance that tells it to forward all the traffic again to the actual host on port 443. And then we have to import the master.pem file on the actual device. So on iPhone it's pretty trivial. You just open up Safari, browse to your PEM file, and it will ask you to import it to the certificate store. On Android it's a bit more complicated. You have to use ADB to pull in the key store, insert your certificate, and use ADB again to push it back to the device. So let's grab some traffic. We install TCP dump and SSL dump. TCP dump is basically just a packet sniffer which is able to spit out the raw PCAP files, which is a standardized format for packet capture. We tell TCP dump to dump any traffic on port 443. We could make it more specific to filter out the exact destination and source IP addresses, but in this case we don't care, we just want any traffic on port 443. So after capturing a bit, we can simply run this through SSL dump using another PEM file that the search script spits out, tell it what PCAP file to use, and use -d to have it decode all the traffic. And when you do that, we can get plain HTTP request back from the PCAP file. So this is useful to figure out how the application does certain actions, which API calls are needed to the server. If you pay close attention, you can see here that they append a digest parameter. So a lot of APIs don't actually do this. So once you figure out how the API works, you can simply talk to it. There's no way of, well, some check the user agent, but this was a bit more complicated. So I have one more slide about overtime. Spent 2 hours eventually decompiling the Java source code, going through all kinds of interaction, factories, objects here, object there. I mean, it all boils down to this simple line. They take a SHA-1 sum of the requested URL, your username, the body of the request. If you're doing like a put request or whatever over REST, it has a post body, so that's checksum as well. And at the end, it concatenates this secret string, which kind of looks like lead speak for Google Mobile, but not quite. So at work we have some speculation whether this is actually random or not. Well, I think that that's about it for fucking around with APIs. We successfully implemented this at work to our grocery list, so we're happy about it.
Demo.
Actually, yeah, I have a demo, but it's not reachable from here. I have to set up an SSH tunnel. It's complicated.
Did you try to like go through the entire store, find all the items which are suddenly priced at a more convenient price point where somebody made a mistake?
Well, that's actually, yeah.
And just like grab all the items that are like priced to like 1 cent, 2 cents, €1, and should be like 10 euros?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could actually do that and filter out like things they fucked up in the pricing database, right?
Exactly. So, that's what I'm doing with flights. I just grab all the flights I can get for cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we could maybe set up a cron job that fetches all the products once a week, starts diffing the prices, see if there's any fluctuation in price.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, it's got more than 10% cheaper, and if so, this.
I think you got an engine for that, for comparing prices.
Okay. Enough about stupid HTTP APIs. Let's talk about podding PHP. PHP is, as you might know, a scripting language which is used a lot on the internet. Web pages use it, Facebook uses it, one of the biggest web pages ever. It's quite popular. You can write sloppy code and even more sloppy code using it. PHP security has been researched quite a lot, and there have been lots of publications about certain types of vulnerabilities like local file inclusion, remote file inclusion, all that kind of stuff. It all boils down to fiddling around with the PHP script itself. And, well, eventually say we have this situation. we compromise the web server, right? So I'm not saying you should go out and compromise any web server, but if this is for like pen testing purposes or your network. Okay, so we are in this situation, right? We can upload PHP code or otherwise run PHP code in some way. Sadly, the system administrators got clever and disabled any code execution functionality within PHP. So there's a bunch of functions like system, exec, pass-through, open. There's a whole list of them, and they usually blacklist those in order to prevent people from escalating their rights from a web server user to like a local shell, and then use that again to execute some local root exploit or whatever, and take over the entire box. This is some kind of poor hardening to stop people from elevating their rights. Luckily, PHP has a lot of memory corruption vulnerabilities. And usually they are quite prompt in fixing those, so someone will submit a bug on bugs.php.net, and like 5 developers will jump on it, oh, let me fix that for you, and well, there's your patch, and then it will get, well, the Linux distributions will also adapt the patch, and packages will be updated, and security will be good, right? Unfortunately, there's a couple of these bugs that have remained unfixed for years. And the reason they have remained unfixed is not that they are unfixable, but fixing them would introduce a regression in the functionality of the PHP language. So they've introduced all these kinds of cool functionality, and people are using them in big open source projects. So if they fix these certain kinds of vulnerabilities, they would break that functionality. This is good for us. So, I level up.php to the rescue. I wrote this little thing called level up.php. Let's talk a bit about that. So, back in 2007, Stefan Esser, probably known from various talks at Hack in the Box and publications online, found a neat little bug in PHP. Luckily, this bug still works in 2011. So it remains unfixed for over 3.5 years. So what my exploit does is it bypasses non-executable measures using return-oriented programming. And in case of open base there, when it's turned off, so this means you can go directories up and read files from there. It can do a universal error space randomization and non-executable bypass. So like on Linux you have the proc file system, and there's this neat thing called proc/self, which has information about the current running process. So there's this file called proc/self maps, which has a memory map of the entire current process. So we can parse this maps information to find out where the libraries are loaded in memory, and then we can open the libraries and scan for certain opcode patterns. And
so much easier.
exactly. And find our gadget. So this is a little slide that demonstrates how it works. I've uploaded a hex.php, which is the level up script, to my box. And I'm setting a post request using curl. I'm telling there's this post variable x, which is the special variable where you put your commands that you want to execute. And you just say, oh, I want to put a back shell to this IP on that port, and on the other box I have a netcat listener running, and it's posting back a shell. So that's about it. The certificate script and the 0-day for PHP can both be found at this URL. Grab it quick because I'm planning to take it down by middleman. Any questions?
Drop your laptop.
Huh?
Is it here?
No questions?
Questions?
Not really.
More of it.